To get started, you want to arrange your colours on the board. So you want your two main colours at either side and then your two threads for your contrasting colour in the centre. So you're going to work this pattern as a chevron. So you want to start with one of the colours next to your contrast colours and then take one of your contrast colours and then you want to work towards the centre over your contrasting colour. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. Again, working towards the centre. So once you've knotted over your two contrast colours, you'll have one colour from either side in the centre. So what you want to do is decide which colour you want to show up when they meet in the centre and make sure you always knot that way the first time. So I'm going to do this one first. So I'm going to knot over the other colour. But instead of going over again, you want to keep this thread in the same position, so you want to knot backward for your second knot, and this will keep it at this side, and you want to do this every time you meet with the two different colours in the centre. So for your next row, you're going to take the next colour in your sequence and you're going to knot towards the centre. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. And again in the centre you're meeting with two different colours, so whichever colour you had going over the top the first time, you want to do the same thing the second time. So once you'll knot in one direction and then once you'll knot in the other direction, so that you keep your colours on the same sides. And then for your next row you want to take your next colour, and this time when you work over your contrast colour you want to work towards the centre the first time and then switch and work away from the centre the second time. And then you want to take your contrast colour that you've just worked over and work towards the centre for the rest of your row. And then you want to repeat this at the other side. So for your first knot you're working towards the centre, and then for your second knot you're working away from the centre. And then you're going to take your contrast colour and work towards the centre for each knot. And then when you're in the centre with your contrast colour, because they're both the same, you can knot in whichever direction you like. So for your next row, you're going to take your next thread and you're going to knot towards the centre for each thread. And then you're going to do the same thing at the other side. So then in the centre, once again, you're going to make sure you keep your colours at the same side by knotting in one direction the first time and then the other direction the second time. And for your next row, you want to do the same thing that you did for your last row and knot towards the centre for each thread. So for your next row, you want to repeat what you did to create your little arrow. So for your first 2 threads, you're just going to knot towards the centre. And then when you're going over your contrast colour, you're going to knot towards the centre the first time, and then switch and knot away from the centre the second time. And then taking your contrast colour, once again, you're just going to knot towards the centre for each thread. And then you want to repeat this at the other side. And once again, in the centre, with the 2 colours the same, you can knot in whichever direction you like. So you'll see that your pattern's starting to show up there. You've got your little arrow going down, and you want to keep repeating these steps until you got the bracelet as long as you want it to be. And when you're finished, you should end up with something that looks like this. So I've just completed the ends with some braided tie-ons. So now you can try on your bracelet. And that is your completed mini arrow friendship bracelet.